Hi, I'm Nicole Keating. Welcome to this live stream, and thank you so much to Humankind and John Strayer for having me on today. I'm super stoked to be here with you guys. Today, we're going to drop into kind of where the world is and how the systems and the everything's changing right now. We all know that. And how do we operate as spiritual beings, as human beings, and spiritual beings at the same time in a world that is changing rapidly all around us. So I'm Nicole. I live in Sedona, Arizona, and you know, when we describe what we do, I don't really think about it as what I do. It's more who I am being, and I feel like that is the name I've been gifted around this is called a spiritual architect. So, a divine architect or a spiritual architect. And I learned this last year when I was at a retreat. And at the retreat, we were working with the angels and the guides. And I realized at that time that so when you're in that frequency, a lot of times information will come to you, which you've probably experienced too. Just being in a higher frequency, a lot more opens up for you. And at that time, I was told by Archangel Metatron that that's who I work with specifically, and that I'm a divine architect. And so the way it works in this earth plane or this 3D reality that we live in is that, I love serving other earth angels that need support in their projects and with their gifts, with their dreams. And what comes through to me is sort of the divine architecture of how they might want to build and create their dream. And so often it's like a scaffolding that comes in, and it's a series of questions that come in. And what I've realized too is a lot of us, our psychic channels, our divine gifts are opening up right now to us. And that's also been happening for me. And so my gifts come on and come in through conversation. The channel kind of opens up in collaboration, in conversation with others. And so when I'm in that process, I just trust and I set the field. And we're going to do that a little bit later. I'm going to take you through a really beautiful activation meditation process. And it's something that you can do with your clients, with your projects, in your morning. And I'm going to do a longer version so you can get the whole juicy download, but there's also a very short way to do it. It's really essentially plugging into all that is, plugging into Gaia, plugging into the divine source, God, or, the creator or the source, whatever you want to call it. But what I've learned is to never do anything important without doing that first. And it's changed my whole life, and it's changed everything for me. And I hope that it supports you too. So I wanted to just bring forth, like, we're in a time that so many systems are collapsing right now all around us, the financial system, the economy, the way we do business, marketing. I work in that field too, helping people with spiritual marketing. And whenever I work with someone, I do bring in I plug in with them first, because the guidance and the magic that comes in from that space is quantum and unlimited and powerful. And so it's my secret, not so secret now, weapon or gift. I wouldn't say weapon. Isn't it interesting how language has been manipulated in so many ways? So I often catch those little synchronicities and those interesting ways that language has shifted. A secret weapon, right? That's an interesting one there. But yeah, it's my secret sauce. And it's not a secret, because Spirit, God, Source wants everyone to have access to everything that they desire. And so really that's the first principle that I want to talk about today, is aligning your will with the will of the divine. The ego has its own agenda, which we all know, right? And it can be very sneaky. And even in the spiritual world, we call it spiritual ego, because it's that part of us that says, oh, they're doing it wrong, or oh, if they would only do this, then they would be okay, or I see them, in their gifts and they're doing amazing, but I also see their shadow, and even the recognition of that is our spiritual ego. So it's a tricky guy. And so the only way I've found around the ego is to continuously align back to the divine will. And so I'm going to do a little meditation in a few minutes that helps us to get into that space. The other thing I've been noticing is a big shift in how we manifest, because everything's becoming more quantum, more 5D. You hear these words, but really what it is that the things that used to work, efforting, pushing, forcing, just putting our head down and going for it and working until burnout. That's the old way. The new way is to do it from a place of ease and grace, and really bringing your masculine and feminine energies into harmony, into balance. I'm a feminine, I'm a woman, but in my charts, I have a 7 masculine and a 3 feminine. So I have struggled in the past, and maybe some of you listening, I know many women that do struggle with this, because the world that we've been living in, really pushes us to be in our masculine, to effort, to create from that linear, like this, then this, then this, then this next, this kind of forward linear way of going and pushing through, even, pushing through the discomfort. Yes, there are times when we absolutely need to do that. But also, there's another way, which is harmonious creation. So the feminine energy, which is what I really had to cultivate and learn over the last few years. If I look back on my life, I've had many moments of burnout. And so this is a lesson I've been blessed to learn over and over until finally I get it. And it's amazing. And so the feminine way is to magnetize that which we want, which we desire to us, through cultivating a relationship with it, keeping it in our presence. It's something like when I have a dream that I want to manifest, that I want to create, I hold the vision in my heart, in my surroundings, in my mind. I see it as already done. I see it as happening. And then there's this other piece to it, which is divine timing. So there's both the holding it, the magnetizing it, the activating it with your energy, your love, your intention. And that really has nothing to do with the doing part, and that is a part of it. But so there's that, like, kind of cultivating chi or energy around that, what you want to create. And the thinking mind will trick you, but with the ego, it'll say, well, how are you going to do that? That doesn't make any sense. It'll talk down to you in a way that we wouldn't talk to our friends or our loved ones that way. So we talk to ourselves that way, and that's the other thing we get to work with. But so talking about cultivating this chi around that which you desire to manifest. And then so the feminine also, okay, so the other part of the feminine is the divine timing and the allowing. So the feminine is the allowing, it's the receiving, it's the part of us that is open to the field of receiving. So we're cultivating that which we want to create, and then we'll get like a spark or a little knowing, like, oh, that person, I'm in the process of creating a really beautiful event. It's my 2nd annual. It's called the 1111 Codes of Heaven. I'm going to talk more about it after the meditation. But in regards to that, this time around in creating this, since it's my 2nd time, is night and day different from when I created it last year. There was a lot of efforting, and it was, of course, being birthed, it was being born. So that process can, be more laborious. However, what I've learned this year is that it doesn't have to be at all. This year, I got this vision, this download of it, that it was a different name and it was a different event, but similarly principled, same dates. And what I saw was that it was called the codes of heaven instead of the gates of heaven. And I saw that I started with the end in mind. So I felt into the most absolutely juicy, desirable, magical codes of how you would end like a crescendo of this event. So for me, that was Yaima, like this musical act that is so incredible. And I think of them as they take your breath away, and they also give you the breath of life. It's like this beautiful, magical performance. And it's not a performance. You're in the codes that they offer with them. And so they have this beautiful connection to Mother Earth and Mama Gaia and the fairy realm. And you just, by the end of the show, you're playing in this fairy realm with them, and they're super elemental and incredible musicians. And so it's this experience, right? And so that was what came in as my ultimate crescendo of the whole experience. And so that is which I held in my heart and my mind. And I started to experience these little openings. I call them like these little sparks or these openings where, oh, this person knows them. Jade Lyons, love you, brother. But, and then I would go towards that, which I was receiving, the information I was receiving, I would move towards it. So that's when you bring in the masculine energy, is only and when you feel that divine spark. You get that divine knowing or that divine spark. Then you move actively towards it. And that's your masculine. And your masculine moves directly towards that which it knows from the divine knowing, the feminine, and they're working in harmony. So they're sort of weaving together. So that's what I've noticed is a big shift from in our consciousness around manifesting and creating is this dance. It's now a dance. It's now in harmony. It's now in flow. So it's like feminine, allowing, opening, masculine, going towards. It's just like this beautiful dance. And it's something that I have been practicing with this event fully and completely. And it's happened so miraculously. I can't even tell you. It's just been such a beautiful gift. And it's also important when you're in the process of learning this art, and it's to make sure that, that you have the people and the souls and the beings in your corner that blow wind into your wings, that blow wind into your sails, that believe in you, that, that say, that's wild. And I totally see you doing that. Like, that's amazing. I've got your back. And there is a piece of this where you kind of hold it sacred until you have that big win or that movement that happens. Like, that's something I also did this year. I didn't, so I kind of made sure, like if you were building a fire, right? And you're out in the woods and you've got your flint and you're trying to get the spark going. Like, you wouldn't want to like call over the group and try to get warm by the fire until the fire was actually going. So that's something that I've noticed as well, is like, I've got the fire going now and calling folks to gather around it just now. And so that is something I did really differently this year. And, I think the world of efforting and forcing and powering through is going away. And so it's like we're in, I've been going to see Michael Murdad at the Global Center for Christ Consciousness, where my event's going to be there. And I just really resonate with his message. And, he talks a lot about the, you know, basically the truth of everything, which is super simple, which is that we're all connected, and we're living in a world of illusion, but we are spiritual, infinite beings of love and light. And I know we've all heard those things before, but the more that I practice the knowing of that, the more, like, whatever's going on in the outside world that doesn't feel good, it just doesn't have any power. And so when we can be in the space where we're focusing our energy and our love and our attention on that which we want to create, and very little energy, attention, bandwidth on that which we are in fear of or don't want to create, it's really just reversing the ratios massively. And so a lot of us, we're very blessed in Sedona because we really live in that frequency here, on a really big level. We're very blessed. We're really lucky. And it's not just luck. A lot of us were called here, which is true for me. I was in the Bay Area in 2020, and everything was locking down, and the playgrounds were wrapped in caution tape, and you couldn't go to the beach. And I was like, no, Sedona is calling me, and I made it happen, and I was called here. And so many of the people here were called here. And part of the reason of that, I believe, is that this is a spiritual birthplace for the new earth, for heaven on earth. And there are souls like us all over the world, all over the country. It's not that we're all just special here in Sedona. There's no such thing as special. We are all children of God or Source, and we are all gifted. We are all gifted with magical, beautiful abilities. We just forgot. We just forgot to remember these things. So, it's one of those things that you hear a lot, but the more you can just really pour into the things that feed that truth of who you really are, and move away from the things that make you feel fearful or not enough, less than. All those things are just the ego, and all of those things are just creating separation. And so, like, the most simple way to look at it is that there is no separation. It's an illusion. And so this applies in manifesting as well. Like, you're not separate from the things that you want to create. You're not separate from your creation. You're not separate from anyone that you might want to have be a part of your creation. In this case, I'm super excited. I have some of my favorite teachers and mentors and magical beings participating, and how that happened is that I tune in and make sure I'm in the frequency that they're in before I offer this amazing gift of being part of this event. I'm in that frequency with them. And so they recognize me. That's all it is. Manifesting is really just being in the frequency of that which is already in existence. It's so backwards. It seems so backwards, but it's so juicy and fun and playful and easy once you realize that it's that simple, really. It's that easy, and it's for you. It's for all of us. There's nobody that doesn't get to live their dreams if they choose to. It's all about choice. We have choice. We're never a victim to life, even though sometimes it seems like it. And what's happening is the world is going through a dark night of the soul. That's what Michael was talking about. Yeah. We know this. A lot of us have gone through a dark night of the soul where we have died 1,000 ego deaths by 1,000 paper cuts, right? And we're just like, nothing is working. Yeah, in this old way. And yet the new way is being created. We're doing it. We're building the airplane on the way after, we're building the parachute after jumping out of the plane. We don't know what it looks like, but we know what's not working. We can see that. Another thing that's not working is worrying about it. I find if I go into, so depression is, being stuck in the past, and worrying is, and anxiety is being too far in the future. So I find that if I go into that place of worrying, or, being in fear or worrying, what I recommend, what I do, if this works for you, awesome, is I'll go do something totally different that takes me into the present moment. So the last time this happened, I went out to the creek and I found a big, cool stick, and I decided I wanted to make, I don't know how to make a dream catcher yet, but I'm working on that next. But I saw this, where they have the beautiful things hanging from a stick, and I'm an artist too. I haven't been practicing painting in a long time, but that's in me. That's a part of my being, and my blueprint is being an artist. So I took the stick, I got some beads and some twine, and I just stayed home and made something cool and put it on my wall, and it was beautiful and it was fun, and it totally took me out of the frequency of fear, worry, any doubt, because I poured into the present moment. So, that might look like going playing sports with your buddies, or, going to a yoga class. That could look like anything, whatever your joy is. But if you find yourself going down that rabbit hole, just shifting the energy, because worrying will never get you where you want to go. We know this. So another thing I'm noticing that's no longer working is following other people's blueprints. You have a divine blueprint. You're a beautiful spiritual being in the human experience, and there's only one of you. And while we are all one and we're all equal in our worth, we all have like our own beautiful, sacred, divine gifts that are just ours, and our own way of being authentic and vulnerable and open and loving. And, no two people are the same. So, the people out there in the world that are marketing or selling to you, that are selling their blueprint to you, I would avoid that, and look for those. Mentorship's amazing. I recommend it. I've had it. I always want to, anything that's going to shorten my timeline for understanding and like getting that down, and then being able to create through whatever that is, I'm all for it. But what I'll say is that look for the teachers, the leaders, the facilitators that are teaching you how to embody your own divine blueprint, your own path, your own gifts. So that's really a big shift that's going on in the world out there, and the world of creation, if you will. The other thing I'm really seeing right now is, I'm not resonating with transactional relating. Like, yes, of course, we're still in a world where we have to make exchanges based on money. Like, we're still using the monetary supply. We're still, have to go to Whole Foods or natural grocers and like pay a lot of money for eggs, right? We're still in that world on some level, but I think that there's a shift in, especially for those of us that are in service and give our gifts, that there's a new way of thinking about this, which is that, it's not always what you give into someone. If you feel called, if you resonate to give into someone, because you know that you can help them, and say they're not somebody who can necessarily, give you your worth in that situation. But what I've noticed is, when I follow the guidance, spiritual guidance, to pour into someone just because I'm feeling called, or I just know that I have that exact nugget that can support and help them in that moment. And it doesn't have to necessarily be I'm giving them a 3-hour session for free. It might just be, hey, I know you're stuck right now. Here's something that I do. And then, I'm giving them some advice, or I'm giving them some huge sheets of paper to write their dreams on, and giving them like some directives on some good questions to ask, or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. But I know that if I follow the guidance to pour into someone or something, that the receiving for me comes from somewhere else sometimes, a lot of times comes in all these other ways I couldn't have imagined. So I think what's really shifting is just remembering not to limit where you pour in and where things come from, because the universe or spirit, God, has it's bigger and more infinite than you could make up or know. Like our small ego mind will make it like this big, like this for this and this for that, and it makes it like in a little box, a pretty little bow around it. But what we can't see is it's actually like this, what's wanting to come to you, what's wanting to be created. And I've had that experience creating this event. I'm just like, wow, okay, so don't limit myself on what's possible. So yeah, those are a few of the things. One thing also I'd like to just say is we don't need to do things because we have to anymore. Even things that we may not like love doing, that we feel that we have to do, we can shift our energetic mindset around it. You know, what I've come to learn, and I've had some of my own massive ego death over the last few months. Like some parts of me just had to crumble and just burn away. I'm sure maybe you watching can relate. Maybe you've been through a loss of a friendship or a relationship, a job, anything like that. Like a lot of those things that have been crumbling have been doing so. I call it the crumbling and the humbling. So this crumbling and this humbling, what it leaves behind is a purity of just love and service. And so I feel like a lot of that for me has burned away, so that it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm just like, I'm in service. Here I am. Like, how can I show up? How can I serve? But not from a place of scarcity, from a place of like, I know that's my divine calling to show up and sometimes just be a space for someone. Sometimes it might just be, a smile or maybe I get that person's toe behind me, just these little things. But the thing that can never be taken away from you is the choosing, the meaning that you give anything, because that's really all this world is like, we are meaning makers, and we, go around giving meaning to everything. So would it be great if we could just choose to give it a meaning that like supports our thriving and our happiness and our joy? I think that's really important, and it takes us out of the ego. It takes us out of the victim consciousness. And the truth is, we're all infinite, divine, spiritual beings, and we're going to be here long after this body or this experience expires. And, who am I to say that, right? Because maybe you don't believe that, and that's totally fine. I honor that. But I just to share a little bit of my story, I was not very spiritual earlier than 2010 was my year where I had a massive awakening. In 2010, my boyfriend of the time passed away very suddenly of a heart attack. And my whole life, talk about humbling and a crumbling, that was just like full on. That was my 9/11 in my personal life. And everything I thought I knew was stripped away, and it was beautiful. Now I mean, I'm still connected to him, and that's sorry, I'm getting ahead of the lesson, but basically he passed, and I very quickly realized that his energy went on because he was around. He was around. He was an electrician, and like the fireplace would turn on and the lights would go on, and all these things were happening, and these animals were coming to me, and I'm like, am I crazy? And then one night I had a visitation in a dream, and he was speaking to me. It was so real. He was speaking to me without talking, but he was looking at me, and there were tears in his eyes, and he said he was so sorry, and he was speaking to me, but no words, no lips were moving. And so I had this spiritual awakening through this, realizing that your energy does go on. And also that we had like planned this, like this was part of our plan for my awakening. And so this is like part of what set me on the spiritual path. And no matter what you believe, that's we're all on our own journey, our own beautiful spiritual path. But that's why I have conviction and no fear. I'm not afraid of what's coming, what's happening. And some of us, if you resonate with this, to be a pillar of love during this time, that's very needed. You know, people just want to feel there's so much uncertainty, and there's a massive feeling of, you know, what's going to happen, and am I safe? Am I okay? Well, yeah, I guess I know part of my purpose is to remind people that all is well, and you're meant to be joyful and magical, and you're meant to have a beautiful life despite whatever's going on out there in the illusion. So I'd love to take you into an experience. This is what I do before I see any clients. So one of the things I love to do, I do a divine architecture map with people. So this is for someone who has a project or a business baby, or, you know, something they want to create, an event. One of my favorite things to do is help someone nurture the seed of their divine plan or their idea that they're excited to create, and they just don't know how. So we get out of the how mind. We get out of the mind, and I take them into the body, the heart, up into a different frequency, and we always start from there. So I want to do this with you today because it's a really powerful tool. And if you do work with clients or you work with groups, you can borrow this, steal this, make it your own. It's not mine. It's sources. It's God's. So it was gifted to me, and I'm gifting it to you. So I'd love, if you're watching, just find a comfortable position and get comfortable in your seat, or you're on the floor if you're outside. And just close your eyes. It just helps us focus in a little bit. And just find your body in space. Just feel it. Like, how cool is it that we have a body? It does so much for us every day without us even thinking about it. It just beats our heart and breathes us all day long, and just giving that body gratitude. So from this space, just feel your feet on the ground. Just feel your feet. And just imagine that you have roots shooting out of the bottom of your feet. And imagine that they're going right through your shoes, right through the carpet or the floor, through the sediment of the earth, the rocks, the crust, down to the mantle. They're pushing all the way through. They're super strong, just pushing down, 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 down into the core of Gaia. Now your roots see right in the middle of the earth, there's a glowing orb of light. It's a glowing crystalline core of Gaia. Now allow your roots to wrap around that core and secure them around the core of Gaia. Now imagine that you can breathe all the way through your feet, right down straight to the core of Gaia. And so you're going to just breathe down those cords, everything that you don't need. You're just going to breathe out any fear, any worry, any doubt, any anxiety, anything that does not serve this moment. Just breathe it down to Gaia, and she's going to take that as food. It actually nourishes her. She's going to say thank you and take that as food. And then just breathe back up. You're going to breathe up, up, up the cord, up, up, up through your feet, up into your root, all the way up your chakra system. You're just going to breathe up her nurturing, loving, kind, ever-present, mothering, balancing, grounded energy. And just breathe that up into your heart. And just feel that balancing, loving just sacred energy that she has, just so grounding and nurturing. And just allow that to mix in your heart space with every cell in your heart. And then just breathe down again. You can just let go of those things that don't belong, maybe from the ego residue, just breathing that down. And again, breathing up her energy. And now breathe it this time into the heart and expand it to every cell in your body. And just imagine every cell in your body is getting that grounding, nurturing, centering, loving. You're just, it's almost like you're in a warm bathtub and you're just feel like butter, but you're grounded too, and you're just strong. That strength that she has is in every cell of your body. Now imagine that you have a pillar of light. It's just shooting right out of the crown of your head. Up, 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 past the clouds, past the Earth's atmosphere, past our sun, all the way up to the central sun. Imagine that's the source of all that is. And you're connecting there from the crown of your head to the central sun, to the source of all that is. And allow that golden, radiant vitality energy to come down through the crown of your head, all the way down. Let it touch your throat and light your throat up with all the things that you desire to share and say in the world. Feel that energy. Feel that pulse, that vitality. You're alive, you're radiant. Allow it to come down into your heart. Now mixing with the Gaia energy, mixing with that nurture. And this is the energy of activation. It's the energy of radiance, vitality, action, activation. You can do anything from this place. While you're both rooted and grounded and expanded and vital and radiant, you can do anything that you desire. So this is where we call it like plugged in. You are plugged into the source of all that is, and you're plugged into the mother, the divine mother, and the source of all that is. And from this space, we can call in our archangels and our guides. So I love to call on Archangel Metatron. I work with Archangel Metatron, and he is the divine architect of the universe. And he is the father of energy and the sacred geometry and the number codes, and he is the one who gives us the sequential order of things, and it's like the scaffolding, like the spiral. So we're calling on Metatron to bless, to anoint, to offer the magic, the steps, the manifesting of your divine project, your baby, whatever it is that you're here to create. Just calling him in to support that energy, and calling on the energy of Christ consciousness, the sacred masculine, the divine father, the love, the container for what you're creating, the container for all that is. And calling on the divine feminine, the Marys, the Mother Mary, the Mary Magdalene, calling on that balance of sacred feminine and masculine, that harmony that allows you to weave your dreams, to dance with the creation process. And now calling on all of our ancestors. So the ancestors that you have are particular to you, and they will come in to work with you and to support you. And also we have our star families, our galactics, calling on them to support the expansion, the wisdom, the things that we don't quite have access to, but they do, and they will gift them freely when we call them in to support our manifestation, our creation process. Just breathing that in, all of this guidance, all of this love is around you. You are so held, you are so supported in everything you would want to create in all of your endeavors. Just feel all that love. How could anything ever not be okay from this space? Everything's okay. Everything is more than okay. It's divine. So from this space, this is where we manifest from. This is where we manifest from. This is where the guidance comes from. We don't start down here on the ground. We get grounded and then we go up and we start up here. This is the baseline. This is now the baseline for the process of anything, whether it be coaching a client, whether it be coming up with a divine plan, whether it be producing an event, whether it be writing a song. When we go into this space, all is available. All is possible. So just breathing that in, thanking all of the angelic participants, all of our guides and angels for being here with us. Thanking Source, the divine God, whatever you choose to call all that is. And just feeling the gratitude, because this is already done. And the pieces of the puzzle will show up as you walk through life from this space. They will show up and you will be in recognition of them. And you'll smile and you'll be like, yep, that's it. Let's go. So just allow a smile of gratitude to cross your face, because the divine loves gratitude and it feels good. And one last breath. And just coming back into the room. And I'm saying that to myself too. So, yeah. It takes a minute to come back sometimes. So that was like a longer version. You can totally just plug in. You can take 2 minutes to plug into Gaia, plug into Source, call in your particular angels that you feel resonant with, and do the breathing. Like, you can breathe it circularly a few times and you will instantly be lifted up a few levels of frequency. If you do it longer, it does tend to get you up and grounded. So, I think I heard on the other live stream with Amalia, she was talking about your roots must go deep. And I totally agree with that. I think in this spiritual realm here in Sedona, a lot of times, so many of us are up flying around in the ethers and the light and with the angels and up here, and that's beautiful, and I love it, and I love flying around in there too. But it's so powerful and important to have your roots deep, because the depth, and I learned this when my boyfriend passed away, the depth of your grief is the height of your joy. So the depth of your roots is the height of your branches. So, it's like that, as above, so below. Like, it's true. Everything mirrors. So your willingness to go as deep as you can into your shadow and the depths of the things that are keeping you stuck is the activation that you'll receive on the other side of that. So those of you in the dark night of the soul, don't worry. You're not even going to believe the expansion waiting for you on the other side. So I think that I'm going to just tune in a little bit I wanted to share about my event coming up. So it's called the 1111, the Codes of Heaven, and it's going to be over the 1111 portal in November. So November 9th through the 11th, 12th. There's some activities on the 12th too. We have a VIP ticket as well as a general admission. And you're not going to believe this, but the general admission pass includes a ticket to go see Yaima. So this event culminates with a Yaima concert, and I have saved about 80 tickets for Sedona people that just want to go to Yaima too. So I just want to let you know that. And I'm really excited because this event, as I've gone through a massive deepening in my own life, I see the power of offering a container that's incredibly transformational. And so I've been deeply getting steeped in the Course in Miracles and this work with the Course in Miracles. So I have, so day one is all about we're bringing in a lot of different codes. For people that are unfamiliar with the codes, really the ultimate code is love, but all of the codes offer, I like to call it an on-ramp to the truth. So, we're going to be working with the elementals, really understanding how to work with the different elements, earth, water, wind, fire, spirit. Amanda Alchemy is going to be part of that, and we're going to bring that into embodiment practices, and it's going to be amazing. We're going to be working with the codes of the angels. I'm going to be tuning into that, more of the stuff that I've been sharing today. And then each person that is part of this event has sort of came to me as the code that they represent. And so I'm really excited that a couple people that everyone involved, I is a beloved and somebody I admire deeply. And each one of them represents or embodies these codes of their own magic and very deeply. So really excited. First day is really about connecting with these different codes, and then we're going to be going out on the land to experience the earth element deeply and the medicine of music and drum. And John Dumas is going to be part of this event as well. He's been on this show, and he's bringing the codes of the muse. We all know that he's an absolute divine channel of the muse, of Rumi, of that kind of pan energy. So we're doing something with him. I have on day 2 is all about the emotional codes. And so this work I've been doing with Wendy and Travis Townsend, which is connected to Course in Miracles and a process called Choose Again. We're going to be doing that process that has truly liberated me and some people that I care about. And so we're going to be doing that as a group, really healing our belief patterns in a very holistic way. There's a piece to the shadow work that has been missing, and I see it clearly. So we're going to be introducing all of that there. And then we're going to be closing day 2 with the infamous and amazing and hilarious Kyle Cease, who is I was in his program years ago. He's a friend. He lives in Sedona now, and he's going to be part of this. And he does really deep work with the inner child, but he's also a transformational comedian. He's hilarious. And so that will be fun after we're doing all that deep belief system work. We're going to have some joy and play. And then on day 3, the 11:11, it's culminating with a morning with Michael Mirdad, which, if any of you are familiar with him, he is amazing. He's one of the spiritual leaders of the Global Center for Christ Consciousness, and he's an absolute divine channel. And I feel that he carries the codes of Christ and the Divine Mother. And he has such an amazing way of explaining this world of separation and truth, and it'll be unbelievably powerful. I can't go through all the speakers, but John's gonna share it on the screen, and if you feel called, it would be amazing to have you there. The end of the event is culminating with Demir opening for Yaima, and that's going to be really magical. So I'm really excited. This is going to be awesome. And when I said to you earlier that this has manifested entirely differently, it could not be more true. Of course, I've had to take radical action and show up and move on the callings and the sparks that I'm getting. But it has been incredible because I realized in this process that I create backwards. So I started with Yaima as my ultimate. And once I, that manifested, then it was like everything was easier. It was like this magical spiral of yes, 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 yes. Of course, with those yeses come action. And that's where the masculine comes in to support this in this dance that we talked about, right? So I'm Nicole Keating. I've been super honored to be here with you. I hope this was helpful or supportive in some way. And if there's anything I can do to support you, feel free to reach out to me. Humankind is amazing. I am so excited to be collaborating with John. He's supporting the live stream of this 11/11 event. And he's a brother, and he's someone who is absolutely doing his work for the highest reasons, for spirit. And so I'm honored to be part of his project and him a part of mine. And yes, just I hope you have an amazing night, and thank you for being here with us tonight. Much love.